Welcome into the electrifying world of Wide Eye Sports, the podcast that brings you the latest in NFL news, stories, and not so expert analysis on all things NFL. Buckle up as we dive into the exhilarating 2023 NFL season. All right, welcome back to Wide Eye Sports, everybody. Thank you for tuning in this week. We got Brenner hosting once again. We have Layne and Riley joining us. Dalton is unable to make it this week. We do have a couple predictions from him that we'll get to later, but for today, it will just be the three of us. So we're going to jump right into things with the weeklies. Layne, I'm going to let you start with your biggest MVP and biggest loser of the week.
Ooh. Okay, so my MVP of the week, man, it's kind of hard not to go against anybody from the Dolphins
right?
here.
The Dolphins are just, that was just insane. 70 points.
Yeah,
wild.
I know. There's really, you can't go against Devon Achane for rushing for 18.
Hold on. He said he specified it's a chant. A chant.
Yeah, I saw that.
He came out and said it's a chant, not a chain, a chant. So I feel
he wants everybody to know his name, and everybody knows his name.
I was about to say everybody should know. Everybody had like 208 rushing yards.
18 carries, 203 yards. He averaged 11.3 on the ground, 2 touchdowns. That has to be the MVP of the week,
dude.
God,
yeah.
Like you can't go against that.
I feel like our MVPs are all going to be from the same game.
Probably. We're just going to pick each. Someone's going to pick Tua. Someone's going to pick Tyreek. It's just, we're all going to pick somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
I have to stick to the same game, honestly. I have 2 kind of biggest losers, though. The Broncos are the easy one. I mean, it's not the Broncos team, it's their defense. Their defense was just atrocious. Like, they're going to have to take a step back, figure out what is going on there, because their offense didn't play bad in my eyes. Yeah. I mean, they put up 20 points. That's completely fine. They would have beaten they would have beaten half of the other teams in the league with 20 points. But their defense, there's some issues there. I also think the Ravens the Ravens should have won that game.
Yeah.
And them losing to the Colts to Gardner Minshew, that's kind of a tough loss to me at home too.
Yeah, that seems like an overlooked game. Like, that's just the Colts. They have their backup. They're not even a threat. And then Zach Moss comes in and just pounds the rock.
I could have said the Cowboys too, which that one was bad.
You could. We'll get to Cowboys later, right?
We'll move on.
Yeah,
we'll move on.
Riley, who's your MVP and biggest loser?
So my MVP, and so some of the reason I chose him is because of how he's played so far in the season. But I'm going to go C.J. Stroud.
All right.
Now, he is currently 4th in the league in passing, 4 touchdowns, no picks. He just set the NFL record for most passing yards through rookie's first 3 games.
Yep.
And he is playing like the best quarterback out of that draft class. And I think that's huge for the Texans and what they're doing. He's him and Tank Dell, that wide receiver, that rookie wide receiver. I want to say he had over 100 yards and a touchdown.
Yep, 145 yards.
CJ is averaging 300 yards a game. I mean, he has looked really good these first 3 games to his career.
If I'm correct, he doesn't have an interception, does he? No picks, right? No
4 tuds, no picks.
No picks from a rookie through 3 weeks. Now it's 3 weeks. It could be totally, bogus, and he could be a complete fraud. But
but I mean, they did just play a playoff.
Yeah,
team.
no, I agree.
I
think
I don't think that's bogus at all.
I just crossed off one of the questions for the rapid fire later on. The question is CJ Stroud him? Is CJ Stroud that good? So I just crossed that question off because we're going over it right now.
Yeah, because we're talking about it now.
I think he's fucking rocking, dude. He's doing so good. I am the biggest Ohio State quarterback doubter in the world, and he has proven me wrong. We got Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields, just these quarterbacks that have these amazingly talented teams around them and get picked high because of it, and then they just don't produce as a quarterback at the NFL level. And CJ Stroud is off to a real hot start.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And then for my biggest loser, rolling off what Spoon said, I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. I mean, they got 70 points put up on them. They didn't have a running back that averaged more than 3.9 yards per carry with 20 attempts among all the different running backs. And it's got to crush the locker room. You got to think our after losing that bad, our players going to start losing faith in Sean Payton. I mean, the Broncos are really in shambles right now, and they can't get off of Russ's contract for another 2 years, 3 years.
I don't know.
I personally, I don't think Russell's the problem.
No,
he had an okay game. He's just.
Yeah. He threw for over 300 yards again. He did throw for an interception, but I mean that came towards the end whenever they were obviously.
So I talked
they're going to be passing it more.
I talked to Spoon about this before. The problem's the D coordinator, Vance Joseph. I mean, and this is a Sean Payton staple, right? Like for years and years after the Saints Super Bowl run, they had no defense. Like their defense was atrocious. Drew Brees is out here passing for 5,000 yards, and they're missing the playoffs because their defenses were so bad. And he didn't really get that figured out until like 2017, 18, 19. He kind of got it, but even then, it wasn't really dialed. And he just never has really had a truly great defense other than their Super Bowl run, and they got, caught cheating during the Super Bowl run. So, I mean, this is a Sean Payton thing. Like it shouldn't shock anybody.
But the offense, and I could be wrong when I say this. I don't remember their first 2 games off the top of my head, but they haven't exactly put up a boatload of points.
No, they're not playing at they're not the Chiefs or the Dolphins by any means, but they're not playing god-awful football. And it's just that defense. Vance Joseph is definitely the issue right now. Russ has actually been balling a little bit. He isn't like old Russ, but he's been playing good at a level in which you would win a game. And
I mean, because if you look at the point differential for them through 3 weeks, they just lost by 50 points. Their point differential is minus 53.
Yeah.
They've lost 2 games. They lost their first 2 games by a total of 3 points. They're not bad. They just had an awful week. That's why obviously we need to talk about them here, because I mean, they just gave up 70 points. That's not good. But I don't think it's the offense's problem. I think the defense, because the offense 2 weeks ago, they scored 33 points. The defense just gave up 35.
Yeah.
It's got to be the defense.
Yeah, and
that's the biggest loser.
I'm gonna take, for my MVP, I'm gonna take some inspiration from y'all, and I'm gonna go with a Dolphin. But it's not the Dolphin you guys think. My MVP of the week is Mike McDaniel. That dude is Timothy. Like, he is the guy. I love this guy. I love this coach. Full transparency, that was my first pick for the Vikings to be their head coach when they were looking. Like, that's who I wanted. We got Kevin O'Connell, and KLC's done great for us. He's, 13 wins last year. We're struggling this year, but it's a turnover thing, and that's a ball security thing, not necessarily a pure coaching thing. Like, it is to an extent, obviously, but we'll touch more on that later. But Mike McDaniel is my MVP of the week. He went out there and balled out. He flexed this week hard. And then my biggest loser of the week is actually, Spoon, you mentioned this team a little earlier when we were talking today, and that is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, you can't lose that game. You can't be losing to the Houston Texans. I don't care if you're on the road. I don't care if it's a neutral site. I don't care if you're in London. You cannot lose. At home. You cannot lose that game no matter where it's at. And to have them, and he's not on defense, right? He's not, it's hard to win a game when your defense is giving up what they score 34 points. And that's embarrassing for the Jags defense. But Trevor Lawrence is looked at as an up-and-coming superstar. That dude needs to put the team on his back and say, I got you. Let's go win this game. I don't care how many points they scored. Like, you got Calvin Ridley. You got a Travis Etienne. You got a lot of studs on that offense to spread the ball around to and make some noise, and they just didn't do it. And it's just underwhelming and, frankly, just a big L. Just a huge L for them. And that's got to be my biggest loser of the week without question. So
I agree. They were up there for me too.
Yeah. And then I got here. So from there, we are actually this week changing things up a little bit. So in the past few weeks, we've had our Power 5, which are our top 5 teams in the NFL. This week, we are going to make a slight change to that. We are going to, from here on out, be doing a top 10 list, where each week we will give you our consensus top 10 teams in the NFL and just see where that goes, because I feel like a top 10 is better than a top 5. And I speak for the group, I think, when I think they all agree with me. So
more is better.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes more is less. Sometimes more is better. All right. I'm going to get this up and running for us. Here we go. All righty. So first off, we're going to start with the games of the week. So right here, I'm going to start with my game of the week, and that is Lions at Packers. So this is an early NFC North game, like division on the line type of game, because the Vikings and the Bears ain't doing jack squat diddly right now. So we got two teams
for completely different reasons.
Yeah, for complete. Like the Bears are like the turmoil 0-3, and the Vikings are like the but what if 0-3.
Oh yeah.
And so, but that aside, the Lions and the Packers game, this is huge NFC North implications. This is massive. They play again late in the season, but this is potentially like one of those things where these two teams, like the Jordan Love's balling out. Like I don't like him. I hate him. He's a Packer. Not a big fan.
He's balling though.
But he's balling out.
He is balling.
I'm not going to sit here and say he's garbage, because he's not playing like garbage. When he starts playing like garbage, though, I will be the first to say he's garbage. But that being said, I think this is going to be a really good game. Hopefully the Packers get Aaron Jones back healthy this week. I don't think Christian Watson's going to play as of right now. We are recording this on Tuesday, game's on Thursday. So I think that the Packers have a really good chance to win this game. And I think it's going to be another shootout game, as is every game with the Lions. But the way Jordan Love's been playing, he's been playing so Rodgers-esque in the efficiency aspect. He's not like, putting up 500-yard games, but he's so efficient with what he's doing. I really think the Packers have a good chance to win this game. The Lions, though, I mean, anytime the Lions step on the field as of these past 2 years, they are, 30 points waiting to happen. So it could go either way. I look forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good game. Next up, we got Layne.
Yeah, so I went with kind of similar ideas what you had, but it's Ravens-Browns. I know neither one of these teams are like current. They're tied for the lead with the Steelers, but I mean the Ravens are coming off a tough loss at home to the Colts. Now they're going to go on the road to a divisional rival. I just think this is going to be a great matchup. Whenever I was looking at it, I personally think this division might be the best all-round division in football.
I can agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I mean,
because right now you have the Bengals sitting in last right now, and it's like they're all like they're half of us predicted them to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like they're a perennial Super Bowl team that's playing like garbage right now. The Browns have, in my opinion, the best defense in the league right now, and the Ravens. I mean, Lamar. Well, everybody knows what Lamar can do. Zay Flowers, boy, showing out. And then you got the Steelers, who have a top 5 defense in their own right, with maybe one of the best pass rushers in the NFL.
Yep. So I'm keeping my eyes on this game. I think one of the big factors for this game though is also how Deshaun Watson will play. If he has a good game, I think the Browns easily win. If he has an average to okay game, this game is going to be great, and it's going to come right down to the wire.
Yeah.
So
I agree completely.
That's my game.
Deshaun's coming off the best game since he's gotten back too.
Yeah. So we'll see how it turns out. We'll see. That offense is third in the league in turnovers so far. They have 6 total turnovers. Yeah. They're not helping their defense out, and their defense is playing out of this world. So, but with that, we got Riley up next, and he's got Falcons at Jags.
Ooh, that was one that I had too.
So kind of rolling off what Brenner was saying earlier, if the Falcons win this game in Jacksonville, it's time to reevaluate both of these teams.
Well, this one's in London.
Yeah, this one's in London.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
This is in London.
Okay.
Yeah, the Jaguars play back-to-back games in London.
The Jaguars were very hyped up coming into this offseason, and so far they have left a lot to be desired. And a 1-3 start, I don't think is something anyone would have imagined coming into the season. Now, for the exact opposite reason, the Falcons, I don't think any of them would have had them 3-1. I mean, Desmond Ridder isn't playing like a all-pro, but they're winning games. And in a weaker NFC, that's really all you need to get into the playoffs. So for those reasons, I think there's a lot on the line for both of these teams.
They're definitely winning games off the back of their run game. Like their run game is carrying them right now.
It's insane.
And I'm
like I mean I'm a Longhorns fan. I remember watching Bijan Robinson last year, and I was like, oh man, this guy's gonna be good. Like, but then he steps up to the pro level, and he looks better. He looks so much better than he did last year, and I'm like, I'm trying to like correlate how it differs from like college to like the pro and stuff. And like obviously you always think like, oh, the NFL is going to be much harder, but he's making it look so easy right now. Dude.
Yeah,
just the way he runs everybody over and like makes cuts the right way.
Dude,
like he's just his vision is it's insane how much
he's looking perennial, just a perennial fill in the blank. You fit all pro, Pro Bowler, whatever you want to put there. Sure, yeah, he's looking that good. With that, we're going to move on.
What was did Dalton
put
his in?
Yep, that's what I was about to say.
Okay.
Dalton, who unfortunately had a late emergency and couldn't make the show today, chose Dolphins Bills, which I all think it's going to be a pretty good game. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think anybody's worried about this game. Points are going to be plentiful. Both defenses are playing decent right now. The Bills defense is playing real good right now. They gave up 3 points last week against a decent team, not a great offense by any means, but a decent team. And the Dolphins are, capable of hanging up 70 points. So I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory right there. You guys.
The points will only be plentiful depending on what Josh Allen shows up to the game. You have Josh Allen
this is true.
3 interceptions in a game, and then you have Josh Allen who throws 3 touchdowns in a game. So, and I really don't know what to make, especially because their last couple games have been against the easier teams relatively, and he's played good. So it'll say a lot about Josh Allen how this game plays out.
Yeah, he's got to perform at a high level if that team wants to win.
Yes,
like he's got to carry that offense around. I mean, they got Diggsy, but that run game isn't gonna succeed a whole lot without him threatening the pass. So
yes.
With that, I think
him helping out
we
the
will
run game.
Move on. Yeah.
I just want to point out too. I think that all 4 of these games, like looking at it, any 4 of them could be the game of the week.
Absolutely, and there were a lot of other good games this week. I might add, there's good games galore. I had like 4 or 5 I could have picked. So now,
I mean, I think like Bengals Titans is going to be one that's going to be that I think is a good one to watch. But besides that, I think we hit it right on.
Yeah. Well, we will see. With that, we're going to move on to, as I mentioned beforehand, our brand new top 10. This is something we're going to be doing from here on out. So the Power 5 is out and the top 10 is in. So with that, we're going to start with our number 10 spot, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then we're going to move to number 9, the Detroit Lions, Baltimore Ravens at 8, the Cleveland Browns at 7, and the Buffalo Bills at 6. So I just want to pause right here and get your guys' opinions on 10 through 6. Layne?
I mean, it's kind of sad that we all left out the Bengals here out of our top 10. They could have. I mean, I know they're 1 and 2, but we probably could have squeezed them in.
They did receive a couple votes, but not enough to get them in the top 10.
Okay. I will say that I did have the Seahawks up there. I think I had them above I don't think I had the Browns in my top 10. I think I had the Seahawks up there, but that was a mistake on my part. I kind of messed up and just forgot about them because I'm so used to them being bad. But their defense is
The Seahawks were the number 11 team. The Seahawks were the first team outside of the top 10.
They just missed. All right.
Just missed. Riley, what do you think? Think this is pretty accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that So I last night when I was looking at the list, it was hard for me to not put the Rams up on there. And if they would have beat the Bengals, I definitely would have put them on there.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're just outside the top 10. But other than that, like, I think the list is good. I think the Browns can go a lot higher than 7 if Deshaun Watson can play well. You know what I mean?
If
But
I
I
don't know.
think
if
I think I had them a little lower. I have the Browns in my top 10, but I still think the Ravens and the Lions I would put above the Browns.
yeah, it was
okay.
the Browns were pretty much in that 5 to 8 range on everybody's. They were,
Mm-hmm.
it's that offense, man. That offense just isn't playing well. And you
Yeah,
lose Nick Chubb. That's a monumental lot. Nick Chubb, in personal opinion, right here, best pure runner of the football in the NFL. And yes, that includes Derrick Henry. I think this dude is the best pure running back there is. Now, personal opinions, that's obviously up for debate. There's a lot of great runners in the NFL. But with that, let's move on to 5 through 3. We got Dallas at 5, Philly at 4, almost at 3, and Kansas City at 3. So obviously Dallas, was up in the top 2 last week. After this past week, they're gonna slip and fall a little bit. That was a rough game. You got Philly at 4. They've, it's a 3-0 team, but they just don't. They don't look
I
a
don't
convincing
think
3-0.
no.
You know what I mean? They look like
Yeah.
a
They're
slippery
probably
3-0.
they're probably my least favorite 3-0 team up here, but I had to personally I had to put them up here too because I mean they are getting wins.
Yeah,
so.
they're getting wins.
Mhm.
Ugly or not, they're getting wins. And then we have Kansas City right above them, who did lose week 1. They're 2-1. They're not even 3-0. But I feel like
No.
most of us realize the potential of the Kansas City Chiefs and what they can do on a weekly basis. 2-1 or not,
Absolutely.
their one loss was without 2 of their 3 best players. So I think we all kind of discount that a little bit, not to discount the Lions' win. Lions still won that game, but Kansas City was shorthanded. And they, I think we all just kind of recognize what the Kansas City Chiefs can do. And, Travis Kelce is now with, unofficially with Taylor Swift. So, like, power couples galore in Kansas City.
I swear Taylor Swift was on the TV more than the Bears offense.
There's a good reason.
It was nice. When I opened up Twitter after the game, I was expecting to see all these people bashing the Bears, but instead it was just Taylor Swift to every other
You're like, they didn't even know we played. Cool.
Yeah.
I think it's cool too. The Chiefs and the Eagles both have their Kelsey Swift duo.
Yeah, they do. All right, so for number 2, we have the Miami Dolphins, and I just want to clarify real quick that the Miami Dolphins and our number 1 team were tied in points for voting, but because the number 1 team was higher prior to this week, I didn't want to didn't want to demote them for, no reason. So Miami comes in at number 2, and then that leaves the number 1 pretty self-explanatory. You got the 49ers.
Yep.
Both of those teams are just like do.
Yeah.
There's not really a clear number 1, but I don't believe in ties, so I wasn't going to do a tie. NFL change your freaking rules.
But yeah, when it comes to teams that are 3-0, like these two are just the absolute, like they look the most dominant. They aren't really playing close games. Like
yeah, no, I mean,
it's just,
I wanted to put Miami at number 1, but like, how do you demote the Niners after throttling a team? Like they blew out a team. Now, granted, it was only by 25 points, but they blew out a team by 3+ scores. It's if the Dolphins hadn't put up 70, it'd been blowout of the week, other than the Bills game. But like any given week, what the Niners did this past week is a blowout. Now, granted, Miami is just reorganize your brain on what Miami did. I don't even know how to explain what Miami did. That was just such a performance by Miami. Mike McDaniel is just a freaking genius. Just a genius.
They're 3 points away from tying the record for most points in a game. And would you guess what team has scored the most points in a game?
I saw it on the internet, and I can't remember. I want to say it was
the Bears,
no.
Riley.
It is the Bears.
Was it 73? Wasn't it them against like the Redskins back in like the 40s?
Yes.
It was like
the 60s, I thought.
It was like 73-3 was the score of that game. And they're one of only 4 teams ever to score 70 points. That's
saying something, man.
Their kicker didn't have
especially in this day and age.
Their kicker didn't have a field goal all day and had 10 points. What?
Whew, that's wild.
Yeah, didn't have a field goal, scored 10 points. Alrighty, with that, I'm going to take that off now, and we are going to move on here to a little segment that Layne has put together for us, so I will let him take it away.
All right, so let me just pull it up real quick.
Yeah. Let's see what you got for us.
There we go. So this is the panic button. So each week, I started it last week. I'm just going to pick 3 teams that...
Can I press that?
Close to panicking.
Is that working? The Vikings are trying to press the button. The Vikings are pressing the button. It's not working.
No, not yet. So basically, my number 3 team is a team that they should be concerned just a little bit. Like they're close to panicking. They might be sweating just a little bit, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. We kind of touched up on that game a little bit already from last week.
Yeah.
You just can't lose at home to a weaker, in my eyes, a much weaker opponent by 20 points.
You can't lose on the road to that team.
Yeah.
Like, it's unacceptable. Yeah. I don't care how well CJ Stroud plays.
I agree. So with that, I will move on to my second team, which is the Denver Broncos.
Number 2.
Obviously, we already talked about them too. Yeah, they're number 2. And the reason why is because, yes, they did just get blown out by 50 points. But, the other 2, the previous 2 weeks, they've only lost by a total of 3 points. Like, the only thing that I'm panicking on the Broncos about is their defense. They have got to do something with that defense. They're sweating right now. Like, it's almost panic mode. Maybe find a new defensive coordinator. I don't know. They need to do something.
So does that mean their point differential's at negative 53 through 3 games?
Yes.
That's insane.
Negative 53, dude.
Negative 53.
And 50 of them came from last week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, 3 games in, and it's 53 points, but 1 game did 50 of those. So that's
yeah.
Whew.
No, I agree. So my honorable mention is the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I had to bring up an honorable mention because they're close to panicking. I'm not panicking on them yet, though, and I talked to Brenner a little bit about this before. 2 years ago, they lost so many games that were 1-score games. Last year, they did the complete opposite. They won all of those close 1-score games. And I told him at the beginning of the season, I was like, honestly, man, like, I think the Vikings are going to be in those close games again, but I think they're going to lose more than they won last year. And obviously, that's what they're doing.
Sorry,
okay.
Can I ask a question real quick? Can I ask one question? So,
yes.
2 years ago, the Vikings were losing all those close games. Everybody said, man, they'd be good if they could just finish these games off. And then last year, we finished the games off, and we won all these games. And then it was, Vikings are pretenders. And we did get bounced in the first round against a decent Giants team. And, it turned out to be true. But, like, where is that line? Like, where does it turn
I think
from,
this year
Sorry, continue.
Well, I was going to say, I think this year it's the turnover battle.
Oh, absolutely.
That's it. That's all it is this year. Because if you take out, are they leading the league in turnovers right now?
So we are leading the league in turnovers, and I'm going to make a declaration for the rest of this season. If the Minnesota Vikings win the turnover battle in a game, they will not lose said game. And that is a guarantee. We are a very good team who has way too many turnovers. We have tied all of our turnovers from last season as a whole in 3 games. Like, what? It's just absolute. We shouldn't even have had one of them in the last game. Last one, forward progress was stopped, and they stripped it after that, and they got a fumble recovery off of that, which made me want to pull my hair out.
The Chargers' last touchdown of the game last week came off of it. It should have been an interception, but it bounced off the cornerback's hands and landed right in.
It was a Caleb Evans. A Caleb Evans went up, landed right in his hands, went right through, bounced off his helmet, and right into Josh Palmer's arms for the touchdown. And then our game-ending interception, Kirk threw it to T.J. Hawkinson, who just got made the highest-paid tight end in the NFL, hits him in the hands, bounces off his shoulder pad, bounces off another Chargers helmet, and then into the arms of another Charger. Like a double doink interception. Like what? To end the game? But I'm ranting about the Vikings. I'm gonna let you continue.
It's okay. All right. So, and yeah, back to just to finish up the Vikings. I personally believe that, I mean, their point differential through 3 weeks is 13 points. They've lost 3 games by a combined total of 13 points. They're in every single game. I'm not panicking on them just yet. I would be, if I'm panicking on anything, it's just the turnover battle. But most of those you can't even help. They're just deflected passes. So that's why they just miss. I'm gonna move on though. Riley, you already know who's panicking right now. Oh, that's the Chicago Bears.
Firsthand.
There's pure panic in Chicago going on.
Pure panic. This is where I was gonna kind of let you do the little bit of ranting, because their point differential is minus 59. And I just want to point out that the Broncos just lost by 50 points in one game. So and they still have a higher point differential than the Broncos do. So here you go, Riley. Just take it away. All right.
So since I can no longer proudly say that I am a Chicago Bears fan, it is time to bring out the bag of shame. So for those of you listening at home, I have just placed a bag over my head with hashtag Boo Dem Bears on it. All right. And the cracks really began to show during the off season. So I don't know how much you guys know about this, right? But in the off season, the Bears bought a 300-acre plot of land in Arlington Heights that was supposed to be the new site for a new stadium that was going to be built, right? But now, after a re-evaluation of the property, the Bears don't want to pay taxes on it, so now they are not building the stadium there. And they're not Jerry Jones. They can't just go out and spend another $200 million on another plot of land. So this brand new stadium that was shown off and glorified to the fans, I doubt we will ever see. And at this rate, I don't know if we will ever get a new stadium. Like at this point, the NFL needs to do to the Bears what they did to Dan Snyder and just make them sell the team. I mean, from the top down, this team is a catastrophe. So we hire Matt Eberflus, who is supposed to be this defensive guru. Through the first 3 games, we have 1 sack as a team, right? We have given up the second most points in the league, and that is only because the Broncos got 70 put on them. If not for a historically bad defensive performance, we would have given up the most points in the league. Now, not only that, I will give Eberflus credit, right? He has set a franchise record, which is nice, for the most consecutive losses in Bears history.
I was wondering where that was going. I was like, where is this going here right now? He's got Boo Dem Bears on his face, but he's about to give credit?
But the Bears have been around for over 100 years. At no point in 100 years has it been this bad. And it's hard for me to put all the blame on Justin Fields when yes, Justin is playing bad, but the play calling is iffy at best. And you can say that Fields has something to do with it. But at the end of the day, it feels like these coaches are putting their scheme above the players they have on the team.
Yeah.
Eberflus refuses. I believe we have the lowest pressure rate in the league as far as sending the blitz and the highest zone coverage percentage of any team. So we're not getting sacks sending 4 guys, and Flus refuses to send pressure from the linebackers. And even in the game against the Chiefs, the announcers were sitting there saying you can't just run zone every play, especially against a quarterback as good as Mahomes. He's just going to sit there and pick that shit apart all day.
Yeah, no. Last season, the Vikings with Ed Donatel were the exact same way. Like they would just sit in zone. Didn't matter. They were sitting in a a half quarters coverage, and they would just sit in a zone, and they would just hope it worked, and they would just hope.
And it doesn't get any better because Eberflus has repeatedly lied on the podium. So during this last week, a bunch of stuff went down with our defensive coordinator, Alan Williams. At first, it was he's a pedophile, and then they came out and said it was for personal reasons and health. Eberflus said he had talked to the team, and they were moving on. It has now come out that he was fired resigned not for health reasons, but because of inappropriate behavior involving Bears HR.
Wow.
So not only that, but then 24 hours after he resigned, players didn't know what was going on. There was no team meeting to address the fact that our defensive coordinator had just resigned. Flus said he went around from position group to position group and talked to all of them. But if that's the case, why are players coming out and saying they have no idea what is going on 24 hours after this has happened?
That is insane.
Not only that, the Bears had $100,000 worth of equipment stolen.
Jump change.
That always
jump
cracks
change.
me up.
Jump change.
Like how? And I have heard nothing about an investigation into what's happened. Surely someone needs to be fired, a security guard or something. Like there is
security
no
guard. How about the security agency that's running security for the stadium? Like you don't just.
I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't even have security. Like, it's the Bears, man. They are so poorly operated that it trickles down. They're constantly hiring first-year head coaches and coordinators that don't pan out. The players look like they're giving up on the coaching staff already. And it's just hard to watch. And especially as high as the hopes were coming into the season, this looks like an 0-16 team.
Yeah.
The Broncos, after having 70 points hung up on them, are 3.5-point favorites on the road in Chicago.
Dude.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up to talk about hard to watch.
Same.
There are 4 teams that are 0-3 in the NFL. All 4 of them play against the Vikings play the Panthers, both are 0-3, and the Bears and the Broncos both play their.
Man, Keegan-Michael Key really did a number with this script this season. I tell you what, that guy's a genius.
What a script, man.
What a genius.
My biggest fear is that we win the game against the Broncos because then it buys this coaching staff another week. They need to be fired, every single one of them.
So you think so that point spread, you think the Broncos cover that?
I could definitely see it. I mean,
okay. I just didn't know if you're like that low on the Bears yet.
No, if the Bears play this week like they did in KC, the home crowd will boo them off the field. It has already been. The home fans have booed them at every home game.
Oh,
and the players are sitting there like, "Come on, you gotta trust in us," and all of this. It has been outside of a fluke year in 2018. This has been a poverty franchise since 2011.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's just abhorrent.
I would say since 2006.
Yeah, it's been bad for a while.
But it wasn't that bad with Lovie Smith. We went to a Super Bowl in 2006.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
since 2006.
That was the peak.
That was the window.
Hearing
in the 40s though.
Oh yeah, all those years ago, man.
And it's just. It's so hard to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, talk about something that was hard to watch. I will go ahead and start my rant. It was the Cowboys-Cardinals game. So, personally, like, I'm not as down on the Cowboys as I hear you are on the Bears, Riley. But I'll just say our defense played awful. It was just absolutely terrible. They ran the ball all over us. I wouldn't even say they only Dobbs only had 189 yards passing.
Yeah, no.
Like they didn't pass all over us. They
they
the
ran all over you. They ran.
And yep. So I mean, I think the play calling was bad as well. I mean, right there towards the end of the game, it was 1st and goal, and we ran the ball 3 times in a row. Like
missing that dude. Zeke Elliott power punch.
Yeah, obviously. and then Dak passes it, and then he throws an interception.
Yeah, that was rough.
And it
was a bad thing.
You can speak to this more than I can, but Tony Pollard is leaving a little bit to be desired after how he performed last season, is he not?
I would just say in the red zone. I mean, outside of the red zone, he's playing great, but you get into the red zone, it gets all tight in there. I don't think he is playing like a goal line back because he's not.
He's not. Yeah, he's not a goal line back because he's like last week against the Cardinals. He still ran 20. He had 23 carries for 122 yards. He averaged 5.3.
Yeah, he had like 140 total yards.
That's not bad. Like I'm not hating on.
No, I don't hate it at all.
I do think Dak could have been a little more accurate. I think that the penalty yards definitely killed us a little bit. We had 107 penalty yards to their 69. And yeah, I mean, it's just we were exposed, and I'm not really panicking or anything though for the Cowboys. I definitely think I hope because we're still a 7-point favorite over the Patriots, and I hope that we can actually prove that coming into this week.
All right.
So
have you heard reports that people inside the Cowboys are worried about the Patriots stealing their signals after signing Zeke and Will Grier?
Yeah, they came out. They said they're going to change up their hand signals.
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, we obviously that's going to be an effect on us. We're going to have to change our hand signals.
They said they were going to mix them up.
Yeah, which is probably going to hurt us a little bit because now it's like we're going to be a little confused. I mean, we have a whole week to work on it, so I think we should be prepared by then. I mean, these are professionals we're talking about. Like, if you change them up just a little bit, they should be fine. But I mean, it's definitely going to put us back a little bit coming into this game because it's like, okay, now we have to work on this for the week instead of working on like just anything else.
Yeah. I want to say one thing about the Cowboys game. I brought this up to everybody during the week, and nobody wanted to hear it from me. Nobody wanted to believe this was a thing. I said that the injury to Trayvon Diggs was going to be a lot bigger of a deal than people were giving it credit for. I went back and I've looked at Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator and a head coach, so defensive play caller across the board. When Dan Quinn has a true number one corner on the field for him, whether that be Richard Sherman, whether that be Trayvon Diggs, whoever it is, he averages the 3rd best scoring defense in the NFL. When he doesn't have a true number one cornerback on the field, his defenses average 19th in scoring for the NFL. And that is 4 years with and 6 years without. So it's not like crazy different, year-wise. So I just really think that this Cowboys defense had to play a lot more zone coverage, which compromises them to the run. You can get beat on the ground.
Which is why
Yeah.
That's why they ran all over us. They had 222 rushing yards.
And Spoon, you told me this earlier in the week. You thought Stephon Gilmore was going to be fine. You thought he was just as good as Diggs. And I don't know how you feel now, but I saw Marquise Brown cook Gilmore multiple times in that game. And I'm telling you right now, there is no chance Marquise Brown cooks Trayvon Diggs in man coverage. It would never happen. I mean, maybe on a fluke one-off, but I mean, Gilmore got burnt for 2 big plays, the touchdown in the 4th quarter, right? And then there was a play in the 3rd quarter with like 2 minutes left where he got burnt really hard down the right side of the field. And I think that Trayvon Diggs injury is going to greatly hinder the Cowboys' success because Dan Quinn loves to play man coverage and be super aggressive up front with somebody with like Micah Parsons, where you can move him all across the line. that's really dangerous. Like when you can just let your guys play man and, or even just give Trayvon a man and let the rest of them kind of play off man or a zone hybrid. Like that's huge. And you can play the run differently and you can just so many more things. But that's my one little rant. And then I'm going to say one thing on the Vikings. Fix the fucking turnover differential. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
That's all I have to say on that. Next up, we are going to move on to a little Q&A segment, or a kind of just a Q&Q segment. We're going to take a look at 2 pass rushers. And one of those pass rushers is Micah Parsons, who I assigned to Layne. And the other one is Nick Bosa, who I assigned to Riley. And I want to start with Riley. Why do you think Nick Bosa is the best pass rusher in the NFL?
So part of it, yes, Nick Bosa has a larger sample size, but I think his stats are better than what Parsons had. Parsons really only had 1 year as a solidified pass rusher. And even then, I don't think I want to say he played like 90%. He still played 10% at linebacker. But in doing so, the difference between that and his rookie year was only half a sack. And his rookie year, he had 13 sacks. Last year, he had 13 and a half sacks. Nick Bosa, he had 9 sacks as a rookie. And since then, I want to say his lowest sack total is 19 and a half. I mean, he's getting more TFLs. And I said this a couple episodes ago. I'm not down on Micah Parsons, but I see.
Why are you ripping on Micah Parsons? Why you down on Micah Parsons so hard right now?
You gave me Nick Bosa.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
But I see Micah Parsons as an A- pass rusher and an A- linebacker. He is more versatile at different positions than Nick Bosa. But as far as getting after the quarterback, Nick Bosa was the most double-teamed pass rusher in 21 and the second most double-teamed pass rusher last year. And he still had more sacks than Micah Parsons. I want to say I saw a clip week 1 of him being triple teamed. They had the center, the guard, and the tackle sitting there trying to block him. And I think a lot of that goes to show just how he can wreck a game.
All right.
And he
all right. Hold on. I'm gonna give Layne a chance. Layne, why do you think Micah Parsons is the best pass rusher in the league? Not overall linebacker. We're talking pass rusher. Go.
Okay. So, yeah, obviously I was going to talk about him dropping back into coverage, but I can't do that. But whenever you look at – yeah, not yet. But whenever you look at all the stats from – like, you just do the math, all right? Look at all the games they played. Look at their stats combined. Micah just – he's better than Bosa there. And that's what matters is the stats that you're putting in. The other thing, too, is that Micah's much more reliable than Bosa is. If you look at the snap count for each one – and that's probably why Bosa, like, he can come out and he can – like, he rests a lot during the games. He can come out and he can get a quick sack or maybe just a quick quarterback hit or a rush. But that's because Parsons plays like 79% of the snaps in each game. He hardly ever comes off the field. Bosa's playing like 58. He's rocking about a 59% snap count. I mean, I feel like that has something to do with it. And, I mean, obviously with Parsons playing more, he does have the better stats to back it up.
So can I ask a question off of that?
Sure, why not?
Go ahead.
What stats are you talking about? Just straight tackles that he's better?
I mean, I have a bunch of them ready for you. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Okay, so solo tackles, Micah is averaging 3 point, and this is from every game played. Bosa's played 54, Parsons has played 36. When you average out how many solo tackles each one has, Micah has 3.16 to Bosa's 2.22. He's averaging almost one more solo tackle a game compared to Bosa.
How much of that has to do with the time he's playing linebacker? Because he had 80 tackles his rookie season.
Right.
All of his numbers, except for the sack totals, went down as he played more of a pass rushing role.
That'll naturally
that's fine though. I was just starting there, but I can go to the quarterback hits too. So right now, Bosa has like if you look at the stats, he does have more quarterback hits, but that's because Parsons drops back into coverage. So I did the math and I was like, okay, if he doesn't drop back into coverage every single play and he is just a pass rusher every time that the quarterback drops back to pass, Micah would still have more quarterback hits than Bosa does. He would,
but keep in
it's
mind,
barely. It's barely.
Hold on,
Micah
Riley,
has
hold on.
2.16 to Bosa's 2.07. So it's like it's a difference of 0.1. But based on the math, I mean, Micah would get to the backfield more than Bosa does, just slightly, but it is more.
Okay, Riley, go.
Can I add?
Yep, go.
So I'm gonna take you at your word. Those numbers are true, but Nick Bosa is being double teamed more than Micah Parsons. Does that not make what he is doing more impressive than what Parsons is doing? I would also say that Micah has more help on the defensive line than the Niners do. I'm not saying the Niners have a bad defensive line. I think the Cowboys is
both
better.
teams.
Like
both teams have a. Impartial third party. I would say it's equal. Both teams have great D lines. I'm gonna D-Law on the other side of Micah Parsons is a huge help. So like,
who does Nick Bosa have on the other side of him?
Well, actually, I don't know who.
Exactly.
But I know that their D tackle situation is a lot better than the Cowboys.
They do have some damn good D tackles,
which allows for.
I can't name them all off.
Yeah, I can't either. But we are all in agreement that the 49ers D tackle situation is better than the Cowboys, but the Cowboys DN situation is better than the 49ers. So I'm going to go ahead and say that both of these dudes are elite level players and have elite level, overall statistics. And a personal opinion, I think Micah Parsons is the more versatile player. I would run a 4-3 defense if I had a team. So I'm taking Nick Bosa all day because I want the hand in the dirt, pass rusher, getting after the quarterback, holding the edge for the run. That's my guy. But
I think the big thing that separates Parsons and Bosa for me is the fact that Parsons has his speed is just unmatched.
Yeah,
he can get into the backfield so fast. And that's why I love watching him play.
Next week, we're going to do another one of these, and we'll have a couple different defenders, and I'll give you guys a little hint at the end. But Micah Parsons lining up over the center this past week, I mean, that's the definition of a mismatch. Like, Micah Parsons
I would also...
What, sorry?
I would also say, as far as straight rushing the passer goes, when teams are double teaming Nick Bosa so much, it opens up more opportunities for the other defensive linemen.
Yeah.
Now, with the way Micah moves around so much, it's hard to get a double team on him.
Yeah.
But I think Nick Bosa helps out that defensive line more, if that makes sense, by drawing attention away from the offensive line.
All right, closing comments. You got 30 seconds each. Layne, go.
Closing comments. Okay. Man, I don't really. You kind of caught me.
Oh, okay.
Guard,
Sorry. No, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't.
Riley, you want to go ahead and give closing comments on it? Just final thought.
Yeah.
Final thought.
So one more thing I want to throw out there. Parsons had 13 tackles for loss in 2022, and Bosa has never had less than 16, having 21 2 years ago and 19 last year. So I even while he's being double teamed more, he's still impacting the run as a solidified defensive end. And teams have more time to prepare for what he's going to do since he is lining up in the same spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is harder to game plan against Micah Parsons because of how they move him around.
But week, but no, if I okay.
No. Just about this. Just about this debate. Sorry. No. Okay.
I just want to
Layne,
point out
closing
that
comments
Micah
on
is
the
averaging
debate.
more sacks per game than Bosa at this moment, so that is definitely helpful. And a random stat too, like fumble recoveries, just the higher IQ when it comes to a pass rusher. Like Micah already has 4 to Bosa's 2, and Bosa's been playing in the league a lot longer. I think that has to come into play here too, just your football IQ, and I think Parsons has a better IQ than Bosa does. So.
All right. Well, Cool. Thank you. Next week we are gonna do. I'm actually just gonna give it away. We're gonna do
Ooh,
T.J.
that'll be a
Watt
good one.
versus Myles Garrett, and I think
Okay.
that's gonna be a good one. I haven't assigned people yet, but you'll get to find that out later in the week. All right. Next up, we're gonna do rapid fire questions, and there's only two of
Okay.
you here today, so I'll take a couple questions myself. This is kind of unprecedented, but I have a lot of
I'll have a
questions,
question
and
for
it would
you,
just get boring
honestly.
going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Oh, do you want me to ask it now?
All right. What's up?
Okay. NFC South, are they?
Go for it.
Is this
I'll
division
take it.
frauds, or are they actually this good?
I'm gonna say they're this good. I'm gonna say if Derek Carr can get healthy, that defense is playing well. I'm gonna say the Falcons are an elite run team. I'm gonna say the Buccaneers are playing good ball outside of a sketchy quarterback situation. And if they had a truly good quarterback, not saying Baker's not good, he's playing well, but I'm talking a solid quarterback, they would be a real scary team. And I'm gonna say that for real. That's probably an unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna go real. All right, next we're gonna do Riley. Are the Bengals back? Yes or no? Quick answer.
I'm gonna say no.
All right, Layne. Can the Jags right the ship? Can they get back on track this week? All right. Is Philly a Super Bowl contender? They're 3-0. Are they a Super Bowl contender this year?
Not in their current state.
All right. Layne, can the Saints survive the Derek Carr injury and still win their division? Okay, but if Carr comes back in a reasonable amount of time, you think they can survive the
I think
3 to 4 week
if he sits
injury
out
and still win the division?
Maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks max, they could possibly still win the division. But if it goes to 4 or 5 weeks, I'm gonna say no.
Okay. All right. Riley, does Cleveland have the best defense in the NFL? They've had one snap inside their 10-yard line the entire season. They didn't allow a red zone snap until this week.
I'm going to say at this moment, yes.
Okay. Layne, are the Seattle Seahawks a playoff contender? And I'm not talking a wild card edge team. I'm talking about a playoff contender. Like they're going to go in the playoffs, maybe even win a game or two.
I think the NFC is just kind of weak. It's all over the place. I think Seattle definitely could go in and actually win a game.
Riley, do you think the Philadelphia Eagles can beat the San Francisco 49ers when they play in Philly?
In Philly?
Yes. I think they play in Philly, correct?
I'm gonna go with no.
No. Okay. All right. That's a good one. All right.
Put that on the record books.
Put that up there. And then the next one was CJ Stroud him, but we went over that already. We've concluded
that Eagles game.
He's
is
kind of being Himothy right now. And then what are the?
Oh no! It's no. My
it
bad.
is in San Fran. Then no way.
Yeah. That's what I
okay. I thought so. I thought it was in Philly. Yeah. I thought it was in Philly. But Riley said no anyways. Riley said they can't win it in Philly.
My answer still stands.
All right. And then I have a question that I want to ask you both. Should the Jets call the Vikings and say, whatever you want, send us Kirk Cousins. We want to win a Super Bowl?
Go ahead.
Yes or no?
Can I go first?
Yeah.
I am going to say yes, and only because it gets the Vikings are going to be searching for a quarterback here soon.
Yeah, Kirk's done after this. This is the last year of his deal.
Yes, so it gets you a head start on that. The worst thing Kirk Cousins can do is take you guys to the playoffs and have you far enough down the draft you can't get a good quarterback because they'll all be taken. So I do think it is smart to call the season a scratch. Go ahead and send him off to the Jets and start preparing for the new era.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes
Minnesota.
as well. I think
Layne?
that I think the Vikings, it's about time just to move on, cut ties. The Jets, their best chance to make a playoff run at this point is to get a starting quarterback, and Kirk has proven that he can do that. He can get you to the playoffs, and this defense obviously can. It's tough. This defense could help Kirk win a couple games, so it would.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it would help the Vikings out too. I think.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go with this. My only comments on it are that I would hate to see Kirk go. He is 35. He's gonna go regardless. I love Kirk. He's been good to us. He's tried hard. He's put his best foot forward every chance he's gotten, and I would hate to see him go. He's gonna go anyways. So I'm saying send him to the Jets. Give JJ whatever he wants, all the money he could physically ask for. I'm talking 50, 60 million dollars for this season as a good faith to get an extension done. And then go secure up Daniil Hunter. Go secure up some good free agents on the defensive side of the football. Go secure up some good free agents on the offensive line. Our interior offensive line is disgusting. All right. Now we did just sign Dalton Reisner, so we'll see. But I
think it would be incredibly smart by the Vikings to heavily front load Justin Jefferson's contract while if they draft a quarterback, not having to pay him for 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Front load that contract, make him the highest paid wide receiver, and then have it tail off when you think you're going to have to re-sign your franchise quarterback if they hit.
Absolutely. And I will leave it on that. And our last question, Thursday night football predictions. I want a winner and a score. Green Bay, Detroit in Green Bay.
I have the Lions
Layne,
winning
go.
this game. I think it's going to be a tough one, but I have it at 23-20.
Riley?
I'm going to go Lions 21-17.
All right, looks like I'm the lone. I don't even want to say what I am, but I'm going to pick the Packers, and I'm going to take the Packers 28-24 with a late interception to end the game, ending Jared Goff's consecutive no interception streak.
That sounds like Vikings Chargers last week.
That
was
what?
Yeah, I know. Oh, I'm aware. I'm aware. All right, Layne, you got any bets for us this week?
But I'm eyeing this Bengals Titans total at 41.5. I like the over here. I really like that one. I like the. I was looking at the Falcons Jaguars total as well. I have the over on that. I also have the Commanders plus 7.5. Division game. I think if the Eagles do win, I think it's by 7 points or less. The Commanders' offense has not looked that bad, and I think they might be ready. They might expose this Eagles' defense a little bit. So,
I'm gonna do this.
Can I throw?
Yeah, go for it. Throw in.
I would take the Broncos at Soldier Field. I think they're
money line. Just straight up money line. Just take the Broncos.
No, I think they're 3.5-point favorites.
Oh God, Jesus!
And I think it's very possible the Bears fans are booing the Bears at the end of the first quarter.
Oh, it's gonna be.
I
rough.
mean, and if that is the case, there is no chance.
I also like Chargers -6 over the Raiders. Just throwing that out there. Really? I'm sorry, Brenner.
I was literally about to say, damn it. It's okay. I'll change it. I'll tweak it just a little bit. So I'm going to take Chargers money line and Niners money line, parlay them together. You're probably not going to get the best odds in the world on that.
So if two of us are saying to take the Chargers -6, that means Brenner, we better put our money where our mouth is. We got to place that. We should we'll come up with a parlay.
We'll place it.
Yeah, we can cry about it next week.
If we lose, we'll cry about it next week. How about that? All right. With that, we want to thank you guys so much for sticking around to the very end of the video. Please leave any comments down below. Make sure to like, subscribe, listen to us every week. We'll be back next week with all this and so much more. Thank you guys. See you next week.